Hey everyone! Welcome to another video. This one is pretty self-indulgent as I'm going to be talking about and showing my process for drawing some My Hero Academia characters as ponies. This started as just a fun idea I had, then before I knew it, I'd filled an entire sketchbook page in less than 24 hours. For anyone who hasn't seen My Hero Academia, you should definitely watch it as long as you're 14 or older. That's what it's rated. Anyways, it's a shonen manga and anime set in a superhuman society where being a superhero is a paid profession, like being a police officer or a firefighter. About 80% of the population has powers called quirks. The other 20% are just normal people like you and me with no powers. Anyways, I'm really happy with how these designs came out and I'm super excited to show you, so let's just get into it. Shoto Todoroki. Quirk, half cold, half hot. I really like Todoroki as a character, so he was included in this first batch. I started with characters I really liked and had ideas for visually, with one exception that we'll get to later. Anyways, I kept his short haircut and made his tail match. He's an earth pony, though I originally wanted to make him a unicorn, like I imagine his mom being in this AU. The way that quirks work in this AU is the same as base My Hero Academia, so he still has his ice and fire. I feel like being an earth pony would add another layer to his issues with Endeavor, because Endeavor is an earth pony, and I feel like Todoroki would hate that he took after his father in that way, even though he couldn't possibly have controlled his own genetics. For the colors, I really wanted to push the half and half appearance beyond just his hair, so he gets splotchy red markings on his left side. His scar is still a scar though. I'm not taking away his trauma because it's so important to his story. His hooves are blue and red, though you can't see the red ones here because of how I posed him. They're intentionally flipped from how you'd expect because I wanted them to contrast the side that they're on and the element that side produces. So as you can see, his blue hooves are on his left legs. Also, it just looks cool. Alright, so unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties with the recording of the next two ponies. So I had to use the Clip Studio Paint time-lapse footage, so please don't mind the watermark, I know it's annoying. Even more unfortunately, the video quality isn't as good as the rest of my footage, so it's kinda blurry. Sorry. Anyways, here is Hitoshi Shinso. Quirk, brainwashing. I really like how he turned out. I think the colors I used balance better than Todoroki, and he's more cohesive. Then again, Todoroki's meant to be high contrast, so... Anyways, Shinso is also an earth pony. Most characters would be because it's easier and more balanced to give quirks to earth ponies without making them stupid overpowered. I say that realizing that this page includes an equal number of earth ponies and Pegasi. I imagine his quirk works the same regardless. He doesn't need wings or a horn to talk after all. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about him besides the fact that I like him and that he turned out well. I will say, I like his interactions with Monoma during the joint training arc. I feel like they balance each other out. It's like the too much energy plus no energy dynamic meme. I wish I could see them interact more. Oh well, there's always fanfiction. Also, I like the idea that Shinso could theoretically use his quirk as a more humane way of keeping Monoma under control around Class 1A. You know, instead of Kendo having to knock him out every time. As funny as that bit is, I can't help but feel a little bad for him. Instead, we could just have Shinso ask him something. Even if Monoma were able to exit his tunnel vision enough to consider the possibility of Shinso using brainwashing on him, he probably wouldn't just ignore him. Though, let's be honest, he'd probably be too focused on Class A to think about that if Shinso has to use his quirk at all. Oboro Shirakumo. Quirk, Cloud. I love this character. If you haven't watched up to Season 5, Episode 19, you won't know about him. But because it's a lot of episodes for me to ask y'all to watch prior to watching this video, I'll just be safe and not spoil anything for those of you who haven't seen him. But if you know, you know. And if you've seen Season 2 of Vigilantes, you definitely know. Anyway, Shirakumo here is a Pegasus, our first non-Earth pony. Yay! And I did that because of his Cloud quirk. In My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which is the generation that I grew up with and that I'm basing this AU on, Pegasi are the only ponies able to interact with Cloud, so I kind of felt like I had to make him a Pegasus. Because of this though, he's the first character whose quirk I arguably had to tweak. Here, his clouds are able to be interacted with by any pony, not just Pegasi. This keeps him special. Technically that's more of an MLP change than a My Hero change, but whatever. I wanted to incorporate some of that orange-brown into his design from his hero costume as shown in the side series My Hero Academia Vigilantes, but I couldn't seem to make it work, so he stays blue. You might notice that he has little hoof feathers. That's just a stylistic thing that I give Pegasi. I also make their ears slightly fluffier at the base, and I usually give them tail feathers, but Shirakumo's wings are blocking his tail feathers from view. I've asked some of my friends and family to pick a favorite from these guys' final looks, and so far, Shirakumo's been the favorite, which is fair, he's great. Nato Monoma. Quirk, copy. I love him and I will not apologize for it. He's so obnoxious in the best way possible. He's a unicorn, which is rare in this AU, but I have a reason for it. Because his quirk is copy, some quirks would require a horn, and unicorn magic is shown in MLP to be extremely versatile. I thought it would make the most sense for him to be a unicorn. His quirk still works the same, he needs to touch some pony to copy their quirk. The horn just makes it possible for him to do certain quirks that would be harder with no horn. I also originally forgot to add the lines on his horn, but don't worry, I fixed that after the recording. Eventually. As a unicorn, he has a long tail with a little floof at the end and cloven hooves. Again, this is stylistic. I know ponies don't actually have that. His tail floof originally looked kinda bad, but I made it look good here. I struggled so bad with the line art on his tail though. Drawing long lines like that in one go is harder than you'd think. I gave him a blue-gray coat with a yellow mane and hooves because those are just his colors. I have no idea what possessed me to give him these swirly markings, it just felt right. While we're here, I have a hot take about Monoma. I personally like him better than Bakugo. Like, they're both kind of mean, but Bakugo is more so straight up aggressive, and at least Monoma's entertaining in the process. I think it's funny that he has zero chill and the only real way to shut him up is to knock him out. I have another video that I'm working on that focuses on something interesting I discovered about Monoma as well, so if you're interested in that, maybe you could stick around. Hisashi Yamada, aka Present Mike. Quirk, voice. I love this stupid cockatoo. He is a Pegasus, not for any quirk-related reason, but purely just so I could compare him to a cockatoo, because look at him. Between his hair and his quirk, it's honestly no mystery why half of the community agrees with me. I really like how the line art turned out on his mane and his little mustache. I was worried about it because it looked so good in the sketch, but any artist can tell you that a good sketch won't always translate to good line art. But somehow I made it look really good. I'm really proud of this pose too, even if his back wing does look kinda wonky to me. His markings are meant to resemble those of, you guessed it, a cockatoo. Guys, I'm never letting this go. The darker patterns on his hooves are meant to look like fingerless gloves in reference to his hero costume as well. I also gave him his glasses and headphones because those are mandatory. Because I drew him with his glasses on, I wanted to also include a drawing of how his eyes looked. Did you guys know that his eyes are meant to look like vinyl records, by the way? That's an actual design tidbit that I heard about. That's so cool, right? Shota Aizawa, aka Eraserhead. Quirk, Erasure. I don't know why I like Aizawa so much. I think watching Vigilantes helped by expanding his character a little more. I love a good tragic backstory. Anyways, I had him laying down here because he always seems so tired. Notice how he has a similar pose to Shinso. I actually finished these in a different order to how I sketched them. I sketched Aizawa way before I drew Shinso and actually gave Shinso a similar pose on purpose to allude to their student-mentor relationship. Aizawa has his iconic scarf, of course. Does that have an actual name? I think it's usually just called his scarf or a binding cloth or something. Anyways, as you may have noticed, he is a Pegasus. I did that because of plot reasons. During a battle in Season 6, he sustains an injury to his right leg, if you know, you know, and I thought it would be interesting if it happened to his wing instead. I don't imagine he would fly around a lot anyway. He's a very grounded character, pun very much intended. I'm really proud of how the illustration of him using his quirk turned out. I think I did a good job drawing his mane floating up like that. I also really like the glowy effect I put over his eyes. It really makes them pop. He's very monochromatic overall. I made his coat all gray, with his mane and tail being black. The only real pop of color is his eyes when he's using his quirk. I thought that was appropriate. Denki Kaminari. Quirk, electrification. He is so underrated in my opinion. Most people know him for being stupid, but he's so much more than that. He's also a living phone charger. Jokes aside, I really do like Kaminari. The drawback of overusing his quirk is just kind of unfortunate, as you can see in the little headshot I did of him. His hair gave me trouble in both versions. I'm not used to drawing bangs that go up and then down like that. I need to practice it. I do like how it turned out, it just took a lot of effort to get there. The little black zigzag in his hair was a pain too. I sketched it way too small and ended up having to change its size after drawing it in. Thank goodness for my many layers. One thing I don't like about his design here is how similar he ended up looking to present Mike. It's definitely their shared colors, mainly white, yellow, and black. I might have to redesign him at some point to make him look more different. Maybe there will be some future doodles to show off details that were obscured in the original sketches too. Who knows? I realize that I haven't actually explained why he's a Pegasus. To be honest, it's just because of the Pegasus Weather Association. Lightning counts as a weather, right? Here's a fun little tidbit. I imagine Kaminari's feathers are always puffed up with static electricity in this AU. Even when he's not using his quirk. I just think that's fun. He's a staticky little puffball. Warning, hugs may result in static shocks. Speaking of static, his name is very electricity based, which is appropriate considering his quirk. His first name, Denki, translates to electricity, and his last name, Kaminari, can either mean thunder or lightning, and comes from an expression describing thunder as the sound of the gods. Izuku Midoriya. Quirk, plot armor. Oops, just kidding. He actually doesn't have a quirk here. For those who haven't seen the show yet, this is our main character. Yeah, not joking. This is how I imagined he looks during episode 1 before All Might and the Beach. Again, because I'm trying to avoid too many spoilers, I won't talk too much about plot stuff, but I'll give the basics from the first couple of episodes. Midoriya, or as he's sometimes called, Deku, starts off the story in the 20% of people without a quirk. Towards the end of middle school, he meets his favorite pro hero All Might by chance, and ends up having to be saved by him. Twice. The second time was because Midoriya was trying to save his childhood friend Bakugo from the same villain who'd attacked him earlier. Long story short, All Might is inspired to give Midoriya his power to allow him to fulfill his dream of becoming a hero. Yay! Anyways, I made his pony design here look small and fragile because this is before he gets given All Might's quirk and starts training to be a hero. He's just a little guy in middle school after all. I gave him his iconic hair and his green color scheme, and I'm only just now realizing that I forgot his freckles. Dang. I'll fix it. Anyways, I remember first watching My Hero Academia and really liking him as a character, which is significant because I'm one of those people who is usually drawn more to side characters than the protagonists of any given media. But Deku was my favorite character for a good while. Well, until Todoroki dropped his tragic backstory about his parents and his quirk and his scar during the sports festival arc. Now, several rewatches later, I still really like Deku. He's not my favorite character necessarily, but I do enjoy him. Which is good because he's the main character. I'm supposed to be invested in his story. If I had to name a favorite character, it would probably be Monoma, honestly. It changes every rewatch though. Our next character is up there too though. Eri. Quirk, rewind. This is her like a couple days after being rescued. Her horn is a little nub, but her injuries aren't healed yet. Poor sweet baby, I love her so much and I want to protect her. While I've been working on this video, I've been rewatching the show, specifically the arc with her in Overhaul, and I just feel so bad for her. She's only 6 years old at introduction, guys. Like, she's so little. So yeah, I gave her her long hair and tail. She's a mandatory unicorn. Her horn is kind of super important. It's off center though because her horn and base My Hero is off to the side as well. She has her bandages on her legs going right down to her little cloven hooves. Her hooves were originally going to be somewhere between red and pink to allude to the cute outfit she has for the school festival arc, but I thought they looked better matching her mane. The red stood out too much and would have called attention away from her eyes, which are the more important red part of her design. I ended up giving her coat colors similar to the dress she wore when she was with Overhaul, mainly because of contrast. I think her colors turned out really well, even if seeing her in bandages makes me want to cry. I'll have to make a follow-up drawing of Happy Area at some point. Maybe she'll have her hooves painted to match her new outfit in that one. She's such a cutie and must be protected at all costs. I felt like drawing her went by super quick, but her footage was actually in the longer half. Just barely. Excluding Shinso and Shirakumo, of course, because I deleted the botched footage, so I can't really compare the length. Minoru Mineta. Quirk Pop Off. Here's that exception I was talking about earlier in Todoroki's segment. I hate Mineta. Fans of the show should know why. It's a shame his final pony design came out looking so cute. The only reason he was even in the first batch is because he could easily fit on the page due to his little size. He's so small. Anyway, what can I say about Mineta other than him being terrible? Well, I suppose he has a good color palette. Purple and yellow are complementary colors, so they look good together when balanced properly. I only used yellow on his hooves to mimic the boots and gloves of his hero costume, and it ended up looking good next to his purple coat, especially when I separated them with a desaturated lighter purple that's more grayish. His mane was kinda hard to do because of the roundness, but I think it turned out fine. After doing Midoriya's hair, the highlights on Mineta's were no problem. When I asked my mom to pick a favorite, she almost picked Mineta. Thankfully, she ultimately decided on Shirakumo. Crisis averted, much better pick. There is this one time during the school festival arc, which I've mentioned several times, where Mineta gets to make a fourth wall break. I love fourth wall breaks, and this one is funny, but it makes me mad because it's Mineta. If someone watching hasn't seen the show and thinks I'm overreacting, I'll fill you in. Mineta is one of the reasons the show isn't rated for younger audiences. There are several reasons, but Mineta and his behavior towards women is undoubtedly one of them. I don't like him. Get him off my screen. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Let me know which pony was your favorite down in the comments below. You can probably expect another one of these in the maybe near future. I've already finished sketching page 2, and I've also started on a page for the villains. So look forward to that. I know videos are sporadic right now. That will probably continue. I am a very busy human every day of the week. But I love making content and I hope to do more of it. If you want, you can subscribe and leave a like. It means a lot and it helps more people see my silly little art videos. If you liked this and you want to see more of my content, I also have another video where I theorize about who the orange side is and Sanders' sides. Until the next time, stay safe, and goodbye.